Next, tip 45. Estimate the order of your algorithm. That is, in estimation, we have learned COCOMO model, so many models in the software engineering. Whereas here, a program, how the complexity of the program can be estimated. So, how the schedule can be fixed for writing a program. Get a feel for how long things are likely to take before you write code. Common sense estimation. Here, common sense estimation. In a program, we are writing symbol loops. If a symbol loop runs from 1 to n, then the algorithm is likely to be O of n minus time. Increases linear with n. That is, if n times the loop continues, then the time required for writing this code is this of n time increases linearly with n. That is, this linearly increases with the number of time, linearly increases with the number of loops. That is this. If it is n is 100, it will take some time. Whereas if it is 1000, it will take more time. That's what this says. Linearly, it will increase. Nested loops. If you nest a loop inside another, then your algorithm becomes O of m into n, where m and n are the two loops limits. If you have a nested loops, this will be the time taken to develop that algorithm. Binary chop. If your algorithm halves, split into half, that is half this set of things it considers each time around the loop, then it is likely to be logarithmic. So of log n. So that is the time taken for that algorithm. Divide and conquer. Algorithms that partition their input work on the two halves independently and then combine the result can be O of n log n. Divide and conquer, these type of algorithms, this is the time taken to develop that algorithm. Then combinatoric. Whenever algorithms start looking at the permutations of things, their running times may get out of hand because factorials involved in it. So it may take a lot of time. It can take a lot of time. Test your estimates. Tip 46. Mathematical analysis of algorithms doesn't tell you everything. Try timing your code in its target environment. That is your target. To meet your target, how much time? In that way. If it's tricky getting accurate timings, use code profilers to count the number of times the different steps in your algorithm get executed and plot these figures against the size of the input. This is another method to find the time. Using code profilers to count the number of times the different steps in your algorithm get executed. So in an algorithm, different execution points are there. So checking of the number of execution points, you are finding the time. That is the size, based on the size of the input, etc. You also need to be pragmatic about choosing appropriate algorithm. The fastest one is not always the best for the job. There you have to use your critical thinking to select the best algorithm for your project. Tip 47 says refactor early, refactor often. What is a refactoring? Refactoring is changing the internal structure without changing the external characteristics of the program. Rewriting, reworking, and re-architecting code is collectively known as refactoring. Just as you might weed and rearrange a garden, rewrite, rework, and re-architect code when it needs it. Fix the root of the problem. In refactoring, you will be able to fix the root of the problem. When should you refactor? These are the conditions when you refactor. Duplication comes. That is, don't repeat yourself principle. Violation comes. You have discovered a violation of the dry principle. That is one condition where you should use a refactor. Non-orthogonal design. You have discovered some code or design that could be made more orthogonal. There you have to do that. Outdated knowledge. Things change, requirements drift, and your knowledge of the problem increases. In that case also, you have to do the refactoring. Code needs to clean up. Performance. You need to move functionality from one area of the system to another to improve performance. Keep track of the things that need to be refactored. If you can't refactor something immediately, make sure that it gets placed on the schedule. Make sure that users of the affected code know that it is scheduled to be refactored and how this might affect them. To put it briefly, the refactoring is used to make your code more optimized, more effective, and to avoid duplication. How do you refactor? Don't try to refactor and add functionality at the same time. You can refactor at the same time. If you have something in mind to add functionality, that also you can do. Make sure you have good test before you begin refactoring. Run the test as often as possible. That way you will know quickly if your changes have broken anything. So these are all techniques. So you need not do duplication of efforts. Along with refactor, you can add functionality also. Unit testing. A software unit test is code that exercises a module. Unit testing, everybody knows. You test your program. Your code you are testing. That is unit testing. We can do much better using the ideas behind design by contract. In design by contract, you are based on the contract you are developing your code. So you have an objective in your mind. Testing against contract. We want to write test cases that ensure that a given unit honors its contract. We want to write test cases that ensure that a given unit honors its contract. That is, you have an idea what are the specifications in the contract. Based on that, you are writing the code. This will tell us two things: whether the code meets the contract and whether the contract means what we think it means. We want to test that the module delivers the functionality it promises over a wide range of test cases and boundary conditions. So, because based on the boundary defined in the contract, you have to write code, you have to test code, and you have to make your customer satisfied. When you design a model or even a single routine, you should design both its contract and the code to test that contract. Then based on the contract, you have to make a design in such a way that modules should not depend each other. Test your software, or your users will test you. Test ruthlessly. Don't make your users find bugs for you. That's very important. If the bugs reach into the hands of the user, gone. Company will lose its credibility. You may have to do the rework, and even sometimes it can lead to a court case. Writing unit test. The unit test for a module should be conveniently located. For small projects, you can embed the unit test for a module in the module itself. For larger projects, moving each test into a subdirectory, so that you will have an idea. Your larger projects you are making into small, then you are testing. By making the test code readily accessible, you are providing developers who may use your code with two individual resources. What are the two individual resources? Examples of how to use all the functionality of your module. Second one, a means to build regression tests to validate any future changes to the code. Regression actually means if you make changes in some place, you are testing whether it has got any effect on the other places. That is called regression. Regression test. Using test harnesses. A test harness can handle common operations such as logging status, analyzing output for expected results, and selecting and running the test. Harness may be GUI driven, may be written in the same target language as the rest of the project. It can be a software. Then capabilities. A standard way to specify setup and cleanup. A method for selecting individual tests or all available tests. A means of analyzing output for expected or unexpected results. A standardized form of failure reporting. So these are the capabilities. Build a test window. Provide various views into the internal state of a module without using the debugger. Long files containing trace messages are one such mechanism. Another mechanism for getting inside running code is the hotkey sequence. For larger, more complex server code, a nifty technique for providing a view into its operation is to include a built-in web server. So that these are the solution for that. Build a test window. Testing is a more cultural than technical. It's a culture that there must be a passion for that. Don't use wizard code you don't understand. So don't use wizard code you understand, because if the code they produce isn't quite right, or if circumstances changes, then you need to adopt the code. Therefore, better you own your code. Without understanding, you should not do anything on your program. You may, for time being, you can take some wizard code and solve your problem, but that is not the final. That will create problem whenever some changes comes to your requirement or the program. So you should be well aware of your programs and your codes. That is the tip 50. Don't use wizard code you don't understand.